We got some scrapped plans for the newest WWE faction, plus an update on a SmackDown star's return, and our AEW launching a new TV show. We'll talk about it. It's all in the wrestling news right now. Bayley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai. What a triumvirate they are.
Yes.
They're for control of everything.
Yes, well, Io Sky, yeah. But
You're not a fan of the name?
I didn't see any reason to change it from Io Shirai. However, that's a minor gripe. Generally, I'm quite positive. I'm feeling quite positive about the new stable, Tom.
When they first said Io Sky on commentary, I thought, oh, Cody, you've slipped. Oh, Corey Graves, you've slipped up there. See?
It's easy to do.
And they say, I just slipped up there calling him Cody.
Exactly.
Easy money. However, this was a faction that we saw, whilst we saw it on Saturday, we could have seen it much, much sooner.
Yes, and apparently it was pitched before Dakota was even released back in April. Vince McMahon apparently turned down the idea, according to Fightful Select. Apparently there was another version of the faction pitched as well, involving different personnel, apparently also including Raquel Rodriguez and Kaylee Ray. But instead they've gone for this iteration, which is looking good. Nothing against Raquel and Kaylee Ray. I like this version as well. So it just kind of speaks to the amount of talent they've got who are not really being used as well as they could. And I don't know why Vince would have turned it down.
Seems like a cool idea. It wasn't long after that first pitch of this team that Dakota Kai was released. So maybe there's an indicator there that maybe there was plans afoot to let Dakota Kai go.
I think she's ridiculous. Great. I'm a Dakota guy. I think she's fantastic.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And I'm glad to see her back.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what these three do. It seems like we're gearing up towards a 6-woman tag for Clash at the Castle with Bayley, Io, and Dakota versus Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca Belair, maybe. Yes. I kind of thought that, and this is no disrespect to Asuka and Alexa Bliss, who are great. I thought that might be a sort of placeholder in the event of Sasha Banks and Naomi making a comeback.
It could well be. There's still about a month to go, isn't there? So anything could change, I suppose.
Anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Talking of maneuver, a maneuver was made by WWE management to suspend Ronda Rousey, as announced on Monday, following the way that she manhandled that referee.
Yes, in the wake of her loss against Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. But she was kind of justified, Tom. For anyone who didn't see the finish, Liv had her stacked up on the shoulders while in an armbar, and she tapped out in between the counts of 2 and 3. She tapped out before the count of 3.
Justified and ancient.
Yeah.
And according to Dave Meltzer, bound for Moo Land, because it looks as if Ronda Rousey is going to be back in time for Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, where they're going to run back and do Ronda and Liv again.
Oh, right, okay.
Potentially. I mean, I don't see what else Ronda could come back and do, since that was quite a way to leave things at SummerSlam.
There was a Charlotte video package that aired during SummerSlam. One which definitely, it wasn't like an out-and-out babyface video package, but it was certainly portraying her as this great champion, and we love Charlotte Flair. She's brilliant. And it didn't say she's a good guy or a bad guy, but I could possibly see her coming back and feuding with a heel Ronda, maybe. But I think you're probably right. The more likely thing might be a resolution of this Ronda Liv feud.
Was that at SummerSlam where they played a package?
Yeah, it was one of many video packages.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much you read into those, because those video packages, whilst they are in abundance, they're there for the poor people who subscribe to Peacock and get the commercials in there.
I see.
Those people. I see. No, so that's why they're there. It's just so they can play commercials to the unfortunate people who've got the commercial version. So this is why
they're like, here's a random Kevin Owens video.
Yeah,
right,
so
okay.
I don't think there was too much to read into. Oh, is this Charlotte coming back? I think they've just got a bulk of them ready to go, and they think, okay, who's not on the show? Kevin Owens isn't on the show. We'll do a thing for Kevin Owens or whatever. I think so anyway. Could potentially see, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see a return of Charlotte Flair
at some point,
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, maybe.
Won't see a return of the Tommaso in Ciampa though.
Yes, he was talking to Wrestling Inc. and talked about the name change where he lost his first name, as many WWE superstars do. But he said, I'm good with Ciampa. Tommaso is my birth name. Ciampa is actually my godmother's name. So when I picked that for wrestling, there was a lot of meaning behind that for me. The first time it was on the NXT title, I got uber emotional, and then it was on the packaging and figures and stuff. The fact that it gets to live on, not to get emotional on you, but my godmother during this time has gone through some hard times health-wise. So the fact that I kept that, I was like, oh, if we're picking one to lose, please let's keep the Ciampa. Makes sense.
I believe Uber Emotional is a car that cries when you get to your destination. I'm glad that they kept the Ciampa bit, as that's the part that is the most poignant. Just calling him Tommaso wouldn't really work.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, here's a wild idea: give people two names. But the Ciampa bit is good. He got a great WWE.com exclusive promo on Raw that just makes me think he is destined for great things under the Triple H regime.
He's still so good, and it's so easy to forget that when he's just been Miz's lackey for a while. But now it seems like one of the first things Triple H decided to do was to get him away from the Miz thing and a feud with AJ and possibly in the mix for the US title as well.
Speaking of new regimes, Women of Wrestling update. So this was the company that was going to be kind of a recovery project for Tessa Blanchard, among other things. It was with much hype that last year we had the big press day to announce the show, and then things sort of got rocky between them and Tessa's out of the picture now, but they put out a press release yesterday saying that the grappling begins in September. Women of Wrestling will premiere nationwide in syndication during the weekend of September the 17th on the Paramount Global Content Distribution. So this is going to basically, it's going to be on CBS owned and operated stations, Sinclair Communications, Nexstar Broadcasting, Hearst Television, Tegna Media, Weigel Broadcasting, Grey Media, and Cox Television. Internationally, the show is going to be licensed in Canada, Australia, and Indonesia. So there's a good chance that as you're scouring around the channels in the middle of September, you'll probably catch a bit of Women of Wrestling.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Which is, I think, syndication is not a bad way to go. As it also says in the press statement, not only is WoW owned by Jeannie Buss, created by David McLean, the executive producer and color commentator will be AJ Mendez.
Okay, fair
AJ
enough.
Lee.
Yeah.
So AJ Lee, I think, has taken on quite a lot in the role of this company.
That's promising, because she definitely seems like a driven and passionate person, and with first-hand experience of being a woman in the world of wrestling. I was skeptical about WoW when the whole Tessa Blanchard thing happened, because it seemed like it was, as you say, just a vehicle to rehab her image slightly. Then the split happened, and I just assumed this promotion would cease to exist. So now it's quite encouraging, actually, to see that it's going to be on syndication on TV.
And it may not be the only all-women's wrestling show debuting soon, if anything is to be read into the trademark news from All Elite Wrestling today.
Yes, PW Insider has confirmed that that AEW have trademarked for the term All Elite Women. The trademark is listed for... Right, so this is where you got your detective hat on, Tom. It's listed for entertainment services, merchandise, and additional filings for streaming wrestling content as well. What could that mean?
I feel like the one thing that AEW gets a lot of ragging for is the lack of exposure for the women's roster in the main thoroughfare of the promotion.
Yes.
Like there's arguments that there are plenty of women's division matches on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, but in terms of like pay-per-views and Dynamite and Rampage, there isn't a lot of exposure.
There's a lot of times where there'll be an AEW pay-per-view and we'll see like huge heated feuds between Eddie Kingston and whoever, or CM Punk and whoever, and all this history, and MJF's getting involved, and then there's like, oh, by the way, there's this women's match which is going to be really good, but it's only had like 2 weeks build, and that seems to have happened quite a fair bit, especially since Britt Baker dropped the title, I think.
And I'm not sure how. I mean, it seems as if they're going to create a show exclusively for the women's roster. This doesn't. I don't know about you, Jack. I don't. If this is what is happening, I don't necessarily know that fixes the problem.
It's kind of just creating another show, which could be anywhere on the totem pole amongst the many AEW shows. I know what you mean.
So I feel like they're not addressing the true issue, which is, let's have more. And WWE is guilty of this as well. More feuds that aren't based just around a title, and have more stuff in the mix that is around the distinction of the women's division.
Right. I can't think of the last time we saw a non-title women's match on an AEW pay-per-view.
I'm thinking of that tag match with the Bunny and Anna Jay and Ty Conti.
But you can have a big grudgy feud in the singles division without the need for a title at all, and it can still be very compelling television. I don't know why television.
Compelling television. On another note, Tony Khan has commented whilst in an interview with Sports Grid about the changes behind the scenes at WWE. Tony saying it's going to change the competition, but I think that's a good thing. AEW's got a big fan base. We're in 130 countries now and around the world, and here in the US, we've built a great fan base. The competition is going to change. It's a different person in the chair opposite me, but I don't think that's going to be a bad thing for the wrestling fans necessarily.
That chair opposite me metaphor is a fascinating insight into the mind of Tony Khan.
Yeah.
It's like a chess match for him, Tom.
Yeah, and they're in the same room at that point.
Yeah.
They are playing a long game of chess.
Yeah.
Triple H and Tony Khan now.
Oh, it's quite an interesting window into Tony's soul. All that there. No,
You really have jumped, haven't you?
no.
Joking.
No, they're all wrestling people. They're all terrible.
I tell you who isn't terrible, you're not terrible.
You're not terrible.
For joining us today for this. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.